present scenario, when we are fighting with this pandemic, teachers are expected to be elements of change. They are pushed into a very high input oriented work schedule. They're working from home, but they have to create new classes, they have to create PPTs. And let me tell you, most of the teachers who had not been doing this before, it's a nightmare for them. It's very high input oriented. So this migration has actually made things very difficult for many teachers. So how would you help them out?
Well, not many teachers, but also many students, many parents, many
Yeah.
education officials, many, et cetera, right? Okay, so let's break this down. When it comes to technology, there's three kinds of people, and we'll talk about specifically with teachers in a bit here. But you've got those that are real early adopters. So that's our green people here, right? When new technologies, they come out, they're on it, they'll try it. Generally, it is a younger generation that does that. There are some exceptions to the rule, like myself and some of my older colleagues. But these are people who not just get the new technology because it's new and they want to try it, but actually try and find a way to apply it and use it, either for what it was purposed for or even to take it beyond that. Then you've got, so that's a pretty small group. I'm not even going to try and guess on percentages for this, okay? But it's a smaller group. The middle group, the yellow group, is the huge group. And these are people who like new technology, but either take a while to be convinced of using it or convinced / learn how to use it. So it becomes a little bit like second nature. And we see all kinds of comedy routines on TV and films of older people. You know, decades ago, it was old people who couldn't program their VCR. Now it's about old people who don't know how to use apps. You know what I mean? Like, so comedy situation's the same, but again, the technology is a little different.
Yeah.
So there's that group. And then on the far side again, and I don't know how big this is. I think it varies per country, per region, per how, and maybe there's a correlation between the percentage proliferation of broadband into a country with how many fall into this, you know what I mean? But are those people who are either scared of new technologies or don't think they need technologies, and they like to do things the old school way? So we've got these three sort of groups. And so within that, you've got these three groups, but then you've got, as you say, you've got technology they have to learn and potentially new content they have to learn, and then new systems they have to learn that have to go through it. So you end up with this sort of pretty weird and intense matrix of who fits into where. And we'll get into more of that when we talk about administrators. But let's get into some real practical tips here for some teachers. So first one is a few real practical tips. And this one's a major pet peeve of mine. And that is, I know as teachers, we are used to walking around the classroom, talking to our students, looking down, but it drives me absolutely bonkers when people do this with the cameras, okay? So if you are, and I'm standing in order to get this because I had to move the camera, but if you have a laptop that is sitting down on your desk with the back, you know, like this, and here's the camera here, and you are just sitting looking like this, you're constantly looking down at your students. Why? Okay, so first thing we want to do, hopefully that's not going to get too low or low enough. Is that down? Anyway, first thing we want to do is get to eye level with our camera. If you have a notebook, put a book under it. Your teachers, you got books everywhere. Put books under it, raise it up, get it at eye level. Second thing is your set, okay? You can go with a blank background like I've got, or a nice office background like our host has. You don't want it too busy because that's distraction. Basic lighting, you want, now I'm a little bit of an odd situation here because I've got light to the side, so it looks a little bit dark on the one side. You have sort of light, I think, from above and a little bit behind, so it's pretty good lighting. Some sites will talk about, oh, you want the light behind you. No, you don't want your people looking and having to sort of look around bright lights or sunlight coming through.
Right.
Ideally, the bright light, sunlight I should be like this, but my little studio isn't quite set up for that yet, or at least to do this today. So keep it simple, keep it nice, cozy, elegant. Whatever it is you're trying to do. I've seen science teachers set up in their kitchen in order to do experiments for kids to
Yeah.
do. Here's where you really get a chance to be creative with some of this stuff. Okay, so that's our teacher part. So let's get rid of that. All kinds of people have all kinds of different experiences with online learning. So to our host, what are your experiences with either being a teacher for online or for being a student for online? And if you've been a student, what are some of the best practices you've learned from other teachers?
Okay, so Jeff, I was lucky enough to be both. I was a student as well as a teacher, but for me, teaching online, I was less confident as compared to when I used to see the teachers who were teaching me. I had to do a lot of multitasking. I had to see whether the child is paying attention or not. Some technical error cropped up. Somebody's logging in with a different username. So I was doing quite a lot of multitasking. In that, I felt that my efficiency as a teacher went down and my confidence level went down. But when I was a student, I was all laid back, relaxed, and I was trying to absorb what my teacher was saying. And there have been some excellent teachers that I've come across who teach online. They are they have planned their work so meticulously. They know what comes one after the other. So their lessons are amazingly designed. And I think I would rather like to listen and pay attention to a teacher that has a very well designed and good lesson and who's confident, of course. I would never want to be a student of my own online lesson till yet.
That's a really interesting question to put out. You should almost maybe use that as the title. Would you
Yeah.
want to be a student of your own lessons, sort of thing? Because I think a lot of us would be a little afraid of how to answer that right now.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with that, and we'll get into some tips here really quick. But here's the thing with that is, we all make mistakes in the classroom. We are all going to make mistakes in the digital classroom. Just deal with it. It's yes, it might be caught on camera, whereas in class it might not be. However, we're all going to make some mistakes. However, so I want to quickly jump into my YouTube channel, Curiosity Cubed. And this is a series of different playlists. So there's a learning cube, the knowledge cube, not much there yet. There's a lot more coming over the next couple of months. Decon Jeff is a little bit about me, deconstruction. That's my research methodology. So I'm deconstructing myself, 50 years of my life. Very interesting experience. Anyway, what I want to really look at though is this part here is the 2-minute migration tips. This is a series of short videos that I put together months ago, long before COVID hit. Actually, almost a year ago, I started doing these. And so, because even then, people were having challenges migrating from the classroom to digital world. And so it's exponentially changed in the last few months. So the latest 5 all have to do with student engagement, sparking interest, first impressions, relevance, which is what I think part of what you were also talking about that you really appreciated, so that the case studies and stories are relevant to things today. Timely feedback, in other words, how are students or teachers getting the feedback, and assessments. And this is probably one of the biggest pieces that we're having to deal with. We talked about not being able to do the normal kinds of exams, but now we're talking about assignments. And with that comes what I was saying, the matrix of, Zoom is just a communication technology. It's not an LMS. So a teacher or a school also has to have some form of LMS for student reporting, for students to receive assignments, for students to submit assignments. And then you also have your internal school reporting in terms of the attendance and all that sort of stuff, that chances are those 3 are not integrated, not only not very well, but probably at all. And so these are some of the challenges that people are having to deal with. So on that part, we'll just finish up here quickly talking about the monitoring stuff is
Yeah.
your class size, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
and you mentioned it before, how can you keep track of if everyone is there? Um, One of the key components to all of these different videos that I've done, and some of the older ones at the bottom here, videos aren't that great. Content is amazing, but the videos aren't that great. Newer ones are a little more interesting. We all learn as we evolve, right? Or hopefully.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
but it's really about understanding the systems you're dealing with. So if you're going to use Zoom a lot, learn it, play with it, get used to it, see what works, what doesn't work. As we are filming this in early May, Zoom just did a major upgrade and update that had all kinds of other security features that teachers are going to probably have to go back and
Yeah.
relearn certain things. So you're having to really know your Zoom communication system, your LMS in terms of assessment and a little bit of reporting system, and then your
Yeah.
own internal school reporting system back and forth, is know the systems and what they're capable of, because then you can figure out the best way to try and do the best assessments that you can come up with. And I hope that
Right.
this has had a chance to sort of spark or pique the curiosity of some innovative ways that teachers can deal with some of these situations.
I'm sure, Jeff. I think teachers, whatever problems that we've addressed, these are ground level problems that teachers are actually facing. Most of my friends who are teachers, they did address these issues when they had to use Zoom for the first time. They faced lots of problems, particularly dealing with a class of 40, 45. It was very difficult for them because here in India, we have a huge number of children in a classroom. And we must
Right.
admit to the fact that we have to cater to all of them, and children coming with different mindset, children coming with different levels of learning. So it was very difficult for them. And these tips that you have given are amazing. It's going to help them a lot. And I personally have gone through the videos that you have mentioned because I am a subscriber of Jeff's channel. And I have gone through the classes, I've gone through the videos, and it has helped me evolve as a teacher. And trust me, when I came back to delivering lessons, I was a much matured and a better equipped teacher after going through these lessons. So this has been
Well, thank
very
you.
insightful there.